Hello everyone, I'm Megaderf. This is our first episode of Space Engineers. Probably you've never heard anything about it. Basically, it's a space sandbox where you can build your own spaceships and drive them around. The game is based on the distinction between big, small spaceships and space stations that look like big spaceships, but they can't be moved. This game is still in alpha, so if it's not perfect, you'll just have to wait, since it is updated every week. I could spend more time explaining you how this game works, but I'm going to show you what you can actually build in this game. So I'll start building a spaceship and I'll show you what I come up with. I've never built anything before, so I don't know exactly how it will look like. You'll know it in a few seconds, after the intro. Welcome back. This is what I built. It isn't exactly what you call an incredibly epic and good looking spaceship, but it's not even that bad. First of all, this is a military spaceship, but it's not meant for fighting. This ship would be used to explore new areas, to patrol areas with a low number of enemy troops, if any. It could also be used to move people in and between dangerous places, and for diplomatic purposes. As you probably have noticed, it really looks like a hippopotamus. This is the origin of its name. Hippo because it looks like a hippo, star because stars are in space, like spaceships, and this is a spaceship, and HippoStar because I'm bad at names. Well, let's go on. You can see I painted some eyes on the hippo's face, and that thing over there is supposed to look like a hippo. Actually, it doesn't, but it's the best of the designs I've come up with. This is the bridge of the ship. It's pretty exposed, and this is one of the main reasons why this ship is not supposed to fight against other big ships. The other reason is because it's made of light armor, considerably weaker than the heavy one. But the light armor makes it faster, and since we want it fast, it's good as it is. You can also notice that there are a lot of weapons. I know I said this ship is not meant for fighting, but since it's going to travel in dangerous territory, it needs to be able to defend itself, and it can do it pretty well. This white platform you see here is a landing platform, where guests can land. It's made of heavy armor, so if a bad pilot decides that smashing is a good way to land, it will not rip apart half of the ship. Also, the thrusters can destroy light armor, but heavy armor is unaffected by them. Now, I'm going to get in that little fighter and put it in the hangar. This fighter is the standard one. I haven't built it by myself, but I'll work on a new design that you'll probably see in one of the next videos. This is the hangar. There are 2 turrets on the ceiling to get rid of possible intruders. You can see here this colored line with some lights to avoid accidents and people falling down. This hangar is made to hold up to 2 small fighters, but by removing the turrets, it's possible to add another small ship. These 2 catwalks are used for maintenance and to control the movement of the fighters that are going in or out of the hangar. The doors of the hangar used to work, but after one update they started crashing instead of closing. These other 2 turrets protect this door to stop enemies from going into the other parts of the ship. If you open this door, you can see that there is a corridor and another door at the end of it. This is like this because it's an airlock. Actually, airlocks don't have any purpose except role-playing or security. I say security because there are 2 doors instead of 1, so it's harder to pass through. They have no other purpose because there isn't air in this game. Maybe they'll add it later, who knows. Here we are in the bottom part of the ship. From this room you can access a lot of places in the spaceship. You can see that in front of the door where we came from there's a red light. That means that it is a dangerous and high security area. This room on the right is the sleeping quarters. Since there are not beds in the game, at least not yet, I used these barriers. Just pretend that these are beds. This up here is just a nice relaxed zone in the sleeping quarters. You can see outside and I think there's a pretty nice view. If you look closely at this wall, you can see that it's not a normal wall. In fact, it is one of the lateral thrusters of the ship. Now, let's go into the room where we came from. These containers are meant to contain the goodies of the crew. Now, if we open this door, we can reach the engine room. The first thing you can see are these 4 big generators. These generators, with the other 12 small ones that are behind them, give to the ship almost all the power that is needed. These things you see all over the place are gyroscopes. What they do is rotate the ship in any direction you want. There are quite a few internal turrets, because if the enemies get inside this room, they would be able to make the ship almost defenseless. I say almost, because there are a few other generators in the ship, but I'll show you them later. This door over here leads to another airlock. It leads to the outside of the ship, right in the middle of the front engines. This is mainly a maintenance exit. Now let's go here. These stairs lead to the upper part of the ship, and we are going there later. This little bluish room on the right is a smaller relaxation room. Right here, there's the main relaxation area. There are some benches where the crew can sit while enjoying their free time and such. This room can also be useful when the ship is needed to move passengers between low to medium danger zones. They could just stay here and wait. Down here, this corridor leads to the back part of the ship. We are in the lowest zone possible. There's just one layer of armor that separates us from the void. That big beacon up there is what gives the displayable name of the ship. These used to be ladders, but they changed them to corridor blocks in one update. If we go up, we can reach the maintenance area of the beacon. This one is one of the emergency reactors I told you about. It is needed to keep the beacon up even during an intense fight, so allies can see you and help. This room here is the refinery room. There are 2 refineries. They are needed to convert raw materials into ingots and similar. This room is a bit claustrophobic, because it's one of the last ones that I built, and there wasn't a lot of space where I could have placed it. This is the room where all the assemblers are located. What they do is they use refined materials to craft items that can be used, for example, to build the blocks. There are 2 levels, and if you go up here, there is this wonderful view. This is probably my favorite room in the whole ship. This was the last room of the bottom part of the ship. Now let's go back to the stairs you saw before. I could leave the doors open, but I prefer to close them. This room links the upper and the bottom part of the ship. Now, the room that we are in links all the rooms of this part of the ship. These turrets are here because this room is also linked to the side by the main entrance of the ship. There are also these 2 chairs for guards. The entrance I was talking about is this one. This long passage leads to a pretty big airlock. This airlock has 2 doors out, and it's meant for all the visits that the ship can receive, from the ambassador of a friendly empire to the space postman. The first thing you see when you go outside is this big rocket launcher turret. A few steps further there's the landing pad. You can easily reach it by walking in the middle of the eyes of our dear Hippo ship. The next room we are going to take a look at is the medical room. As you have probably noticed, the green in this room got a bit out of hand. These 2 big futuristic things are medical rooms. They are respawn points and you can get healed by them. There is an emergency reactor and a cargo container in case you respawn here during a big fight and you need a weapon to fight with. There is also this random gyroscope. It doesn't make any sense, but I had that sad empty spot and I needed something to fill it. The next room is the cargo room. This is where all the goodies are stored. As you can see, there are a lot of cargo containers everywhere, and this ramp leads to this enormous one. And these are other gyroscopes. Didn't know what to put there. Here, in this corner of the room, there is this door with a red light. Obviously, it means that this is a restricted zone. Inside there is this, the gravity generator of the ship. It has 2 emergency reactors, although one was more than enough, and there are also 2 small cargo containers. They could store precious goodies, weapons and a lot of other things that you'd prefer to keep in a secure place. Now we have just a few rooms left. This blue light means that only officers are allowed inside. In fact, this is the officers' room. As you can see, there are 2 doors, because double doors means double security. There is a turret on the ceiling to keep the officers safe. Then the room itself is just some benches and this thing that should look like a table. Here the officers would talk about tactical plans, updates on their missions and other similar stuff. The next room is similar to this one. This is meant to hold the meetings and discussions with other people like ambassadors, inspectors and such. In fact, all the important discussions with people that aren't part of the crew would be held in here. Inside it is pretty much like the other one, but there are no turrets, so ambassadors won't feel under threat. This room leads to the bridge. There are some gyroscopes, because they look nice in this room. There are some turrets to defend the bridge. They have a little barrier in front of them, so they are protected even more from the fire of small arms. Now let's go up. This is the bridge. There are some other turrets. There are the blue lights, that means only officers. From here you can easily sit outside, but you are an easy target. This is one of the reasons why this ship isn't meant for combat. If we sit in the cockpit, we can move the ship around and look at it a bit better. All these windows you see are places where we were. This is the officer's room, for example, the assembly room, the sleeping quarters, and the same thing with the other side. As you can see, it accelerates decently. It's not the best, but it does its job. If we try to change the orientation, it's pretty agile, thanks to the great number of gyroscopes I placed. This was the HippoStar, and this is just a little number of the features that there are in this game. In fact, I built the ship a while ago, and now there are many more features that have been added later and I didn't use. If you are interested in the game, check the link in the description. If you want to download my ship, there will be a link to the Steam workshop as well. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, and I'll see you later. Bye!